What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Stock Advantage. My name is Darren, and today I'm going to give my update on Zomedica for the month of March. It's going to be a big month for it, so I'm going to break down a few things and kind of tell you where I think it's going. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So what I'm going to cover today, guys, is I'm going to do the current price action. We're going to talk about earnings review a little bit. Then I'm going to touch on upcoming catalysts, a couple cautions I have with this stock, and then I'm going to finish up with kind of my price target for the month of March and going forward. So first thing, let's look at current price action. So if you guys don't remember, this stock was at 30 cents a share about 2 months ago. And so its increase then has been over 700%. And so it hit highs of almost $3 a share, and it has since cooled back off. It started to cool off, and then the whole market took a hit the last couple weeks, and so that just kept the down pace of Zomedica going. I was really impressed, though, that it didn't just fall off the map. It kind of held its own. Every time there was a dip, people were buying back in. So, you know, it kind of leaves behind the full bore of pump and dump. Because there are enough investors out there who believe in this company. So that was a good sign. It did dip as low as 133 last week in a quick little blip there, but mostly it hung around the support level of about $1.80 a share, up and down a little bit, and then it opened today up with the rest of the market as the market has started to recover. And it had a pretty solid day. It was up 10% in trading hours, and it's up about 2% afterwards to $2.10 a share. So held its own and then had a nice little recovery today as well. The volume is down, but today they had a really good day. I think it was about 80 million volume today, which is good. And so that's the most that it's had in a couple weeks. It's been hanging around the 50 to 60 million. So it had a good bounce back today. A lot of people were feeling a lot better, and they started putting money into it. A lot of people were putting money into it anticipating the upcoming Trueforma release, which we'll talk about here in a second. And so that was good. Next thing we'll talk about is going to be the earnings. So it did report its earnings at the end of last week. A couple highlights. Fiscal year 20, they showed their loss actually shrunk from 2019. So that's good. The slight caveat there is that the biggest reason for the cut is that they cut back in their research spending. Once they kind of dialed in on Trueforma, they didn't spend as much on research. So it wasn't that they were more efficient. They just cut back on some of that research money they were spending. They had cash and cash equivalents of approximately $62 million as of December 2020. Compared to $500,000 the year before. So they had a lot of cash increase last year. And so a lot of that was due to the public offerings that they had going. They did a couple public offerings. One was $56 million raised, and the other one was $25 million raised. And that was in 2020. They did complete a recent public offering in February that brought their total cash on hand up to $277 million. So that's a huge jump from 2019 when they had $500,000 on hand. So that was good. Again, as I mentioned in my last video, the CEO did say that they had enough cash on hand to fully run the business through 2023. So they shouldn't be struggling for money. So that's good on the earnings front. You know, the one thing that a lot of people won't talk about is they had 0 sales last year. So at that point, they were in research and development. They were preparing the product. So they have yet to have any sales through 2020. And so 2021 is going to be the year where they roll out the next coming catalyst, which is Trueforma. And that's what everybody's been talking about. That's what got this stock really hyped up the last couple months. And so that release date is set for March 30th, 2021. I saw a lot of people out there today who were like, it's March. Why isn't Zomedica $10 a share? I'm like, what? March. It just happened. Oh my gosh. Let's do a little research, guys. The release is not until March 30th this year. The stock has already ran up a lot in anticipation of that. But I do anticipate more run-up. So just because it's the first day of March does not mean that stock is instantly going to 10x or anything crazy like that. So make sure you do your due diligence and understand what is happening with the stock and with the company. So the Trueforma release is going to be their diagnostic kit that they're going to be sending out to veterinarians to help them diagnose, I think it's thyroid and adrenal issues. I believe that's what it is. And so it's supposed to be a quick, I think, an 18-minute turnaround on a test. And so it's supposed to be kind of the next big thing. And they've gotten some positive feedback from it. So that's the big upcoming catalyst. That is all this company is focusing on right now, is the rollout of Trueforma and the assays or the cartridges that come with it. They are rolling out more assays later in the year, but this is their product. This is what they're banking on. And so next, I'm going to transition into a couple cautions I have for this stock, because a lot of people just think, to the moon, baby. There's no negative news. Nothing bad's going to happen. So a couple things you should know, though, is they currently don't have any of these patents on their own. They have 4 applications pending for patents. So they sit on licensed technology. So they have to pay licensing fees, intellectual property owned by somebody else. They have to pay fees to them. And so what that does, it lowers their profit margin some. They do have exclusive rights with a couple of these. So, I mean, it's not like they're going to go sell it to somebody else at this point, but, that cuts into their margin. Their current patents that they're utilizing sit with Qorvo, Biotech, Seraph, and Silesi. And so they comprise of all the things that go together to make this Trueforma product. So that's the first thing I want to caution you on, is that they do have that out there lingering. The next thing is that their direct offering boom. So I warned this on the SNDL video I did last. So they've raised a lot of cash with their direct offerings, which is very good. But again, I don't want them to start doing direct offerings every other week, right? They've raised enough cash to run the business. My hope is that they don't continue to do these for a while until they need to grow the business more or further develop another product. And so all of their common shares that they've been issuing, plus the ones they originally had, they are currently up to 947 million common shares sitting out there for Zomedica. And so, 9 times the amount they had just a year and a half ago. And so that's another point of caution, is that the shares are worth a little bit less now. Again, not a bad thing, as long as they don't overdo it and continue to grow the business in tandem with the value of the shares. And the other one here, and I mentioned it before, 0 sales in 2020, but they also don't plan on just rolling out to every veterinarian in 2021. It's going to be a slow rollout. They're targeting a specific geographic area, and that's not a bad thing. They're doing that so that they can control it, and then they can give good customer service and get good feedback. And not go too big too fast. So their proceeds and their sales for 2021 is not going to be just mega huge. It's going to be a growth pattern over time. And so what that tells me is that they're not going to take the whole market by storm this year. It's going to be a slow growth. And so the share price, within 12 months, I read some analysts saying $10. I don't know if it'll hit that, just because of the pace at which they're going to take this. So a couple of my final thoughts for March in particular. I think that we will continue to see, if the market keeps recovering like it did today, hopefully it's not a false flag, but if it keeps recovering and heads back up to some new highs, I think that Zomedica will follow that. And I think that in itself could get it back up into the 250 to 275 range. I think there may be some pre-anticipatory runs leading up to Trueforma. And so you've still got almost a whole month before that's released. So I think you can see some pre-anticipatory runs up to that. I do think that after the release of that, when April 1st hits and it kind of dies down, because, hey, this is just a veterinarian product and it's going to take some time and they're growing slow. I do think that come April 1st, you will start to see the share price start trickling back down. I don't see it as being a big boom that's going to keep growing. That's just my honest opinion on it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment purposes only, but that's kind of what I see coming with it. And I don't know that they'll 3 or 4x by the time, by the end of this month. I think if they get some more positive news, some pre-orders, or some more details as to their rollout plan, I think it could help. In the last video, I gave a price target of this one of $3.50 to $5 by the Trueforma release. I still think that's possible. I'm leaning a little closer to the $3.50 to $4 range at this point myself. A lot of that's due to the market dip that's recently happened, took some steam out of all the stocks. So I do think it'll get some of that back, but I think that hurt it some, as well as more details coming out around the product release and rollout. So I think that it'll get some hype, but there's a lot of other stocks out there that are really good deals. So people are going to choose and wisely where they put their money. But I still think this one can see a $3.50 to $4 range mark by the end of March. If you get into that range, myself, I would take some profits then, because I do believe come April, it'll start cooling off a little bit, which will present an opportunity to buy back in if you want to be a long-term investor in this stock. None of that pre-anticipatory run happens. This stock could hang in the $2 range for the rest of this month. I wouldn't be surprised at that. I think it will bump up to $2.50, $3, and even $3.50 prior to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. I mean, who knows how people are going to react and how good Zomedica is going to market their big release, right? Because that helps it a lot. So, just my thoughts again on kind of where I see Zomedica this month and moving forward. I still think it's going to be a great company, good long term, but don't buy into the hype of this is going to be a 4 or 5x stock in the next 6 months, because I don't see it myself at this point. I think there's good opportunity to make some money. Anytime there's volume and there's catalyst, there's an opportunity to make money. And so look at it from that perspective. If you want to be a long-term investor, that's great too. Look for a good opportunity to get in and then just hold it for a while. So again, that's all I've got for today, guys. Make sure if you like this video, drop a like, leave a comment on what your thoughts are on Zomedica or how you're planning on trading it this month. I'd be interested to see you guys' different techniques. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Click that notification bell. I see a lot of my viewers aren't subscribed at this point. So right now, make sure you subscribe. Click the subscribe. Click the bell. Let me know what kind of videos you want down below. If you subscribe, let me know. Again, that's all I've got for today, guys. So until next time, have a great day and God bless.